Hello, everyone. This is episode 1 of our new podcast, North of Reason. Here we are joined by Sarah Robinson, Paul Lubelzik,
What's up?
and myself. I'm Sean Bombani.
Hi, Sean.
We're gonna come together every Tuesday and, just discuss about nerdy things.
Yeah, topics that we find interesting.
Yeah.
Woo.
So, for this first episode, well, we're thinking this is going to take a couple episodes to actually complete, but we're going to talk about our rankings of the Star Wars movies, not including the Attack of the Clones.
Because no one has seen that.
You mean the
Paul.
Clone Wars?
I mean the
movie.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I
No
mean,
one
granted,
cares about it, Paul.
Attack of the Clones isn't a real movie, anyways. Just get that out
We'll
there.
get into that later.
Exactly.
We'll get into that later. We're going to start off by just going around and listing out our rankings that we've prepared independently. And then we can start to dive into our top spots. So, Sarah, go ahead.
All right, I guess I'll start. So my first one is Rogue One, and then Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, and Attack of the Clones. I feel like I just got some really bad looks.
Oh yeah, so for all of you listening in and not
threw up in my
actually
mouth a
being
little
able
bit.
to see
I'm
Sean,
sorry. Yeah, he
Sean
took off
was-
his glasses.
Sean took off his glasses, made some very disgusting looks at Sarah. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I have some
boy.
choice words for that list myself, but we'll get into that.
Is it
So,
because I'm a girl?
no, it's not. It's not because you're a girl, Sarah.
Okay.
Um,
It's because I'm dumb.
So my list is I have top slot. We got Return of the Jedi, then we got Rogue One, New Hope, Solo, which Sarah has not seen, but
Sorry.
Last Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Force Awakens, Empire Strikes Back, Attack of the Clones, the movie that they say doesn't exist, the Clone Wars movie,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't.
then the obvious worst movie of all time in any Star Wars universe ever, Phantom Menace.
Did you just put Empire at 8?
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is at slot 8.
Okay. Well, my ranking, I have Empire at 1, followed by New Hope. However, I will say that
God.
Empire and New Hope, for me, are very neck and neck, and those are pretty fluid and interchangeable. Followed by Return of the Jedi, then 4th Solo, Last Jedi, then The Force Awakens, then Revenge of the Sith. In 8th place, I have Rogue One, then Attack of the Clones, and actually, I'm going to switch those. At 9th, I have Phantom Menace, and 10th, I have Attack of the Clones.
Good. Good. Attack of the Clones is the worst one.
No.
You
sir.
could literally get the same... It would serve the same purpose to not even watch the movie. Like, you have the same plot points. Let's be honest here. You get the origin story of Anakin, and then in Phantom Menace, then you don't even have to watch Attack of the Clones, and then, he becomes Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith. There we go! That's the whole thing.
But I feel like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi saves that entire
That's
movie.
true, but even Ewan McGregor can't save.
But then you've got all those other cool Jedi, like Ki-Adi-Mundi, Kit Fisto, all those
No.
They,
red dudes.
No.
No, they
No,
don't
no.
do anything.
Kit Fisto, is Kit Fisto the green one?
Yes.
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't have any lines.
He's green. That's
He's
the only
green.
special thing about him.
Ki-Adi-Mundi, hot dog looking head. He doesn't do anything.
He does.
Oh,
So much for not moving stuff around while we're recording. We're like smacking the table.
man.
Frustration.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah. We're
Alright.
going to start with our top spots and
Okay.
argue about those.
So
I think we're going to have some discrepancies over Rogue One because you both placed it pretty high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rogue One's my favorite.
Yeah. Why? Why?
I had it as number 2, so
Yeah.
I respect Sarah's.
I just,
I had it as
I
number
don't know.
8.
I really appreciated seeing something that, because, I don't know, it's a common thing that everyone agrees that every single Star Wars movie is just the same plot over and over again, pretty much, and I just really enjoyed the fact that this was different. It was an origin story with different characters, you know what I mean? And there was no romantic subplot, which was bonus points in
Oh yeah.
yeah, in my opinion, I don't know, I just really fell in love with the characters and just, it's a story that you know, but was never, I don't know, it like, everything else I feel like you can just assume of what happened, but it give a good narrative to it.
The reason I like Rogue One so much is because if you think those last 30 minutes of the movie, it's like the best Star Wars footage out of like the entire franchise. Like you got the battle on Scarif with the whole getting the Death Star plans. You've got the whole like space battle with Admiral Raddus and all that stuff, and it just comes together so nicely. And just to top it off is that Darth Vader scene where he's just killing all the rebels.
How about that Darth Vader scene where he has a castle and makes a dumb pun?
Well, you see, you can overlook some of those.
No,
those.
you
Those.
can't.
This is your favorite movie.
I know.
You should be defending.
So here I've searched up a poster,
Yeah.
Rogue One main poster.
Can't see it, I'm sure.
Let's take a look at these characters, okay?
Stop. Jyn Erso is
Jyn Erso, fine.
fine.
Don't tell me his name, because I don't know it, and I'm gonna forget it anyways. It doesn't matter to me. This guy is the guy with the big gun. That is his only character trait.
Who is the blind friend?
That is the only thing I know about him.
I don't know his name either.
Yeah.
I'm so
This is
bad
your
at-
number one spot.
But
You don't
I'm
know this
so
person's
bad at
name. He's
character
part of the
names.
main cast. He's
No.
on the poster.
You can't expect me to know anyone's name.
Would you like to
He's-
know his name, Sean? His name is Baze Malbus.
I'm gonna,
Wow.
wow. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. So you have guy with big gun. Okay.
What about that robot-looking dude? Where did he go? Why isn't he on the
He's
poster?
there.
right
He's
there.
in the back.
Oh,
And
sorry, I
You
don't have my
you
glasses
have
on.
like blind guy, who's one with the
No,
force.
he was the best.
He's one-dimensional.
I cried
He has
so
his one
hard.
trait, and that's all he is. He doesn't grow. He
Well,
doesn't
he
change.
does it
That's what makes
exceptionally well.
complex.
Oh, my phone.
I
buzzed.
disagree.
Wow.
You have brainwashed pilot. All I know about him is that he's a brainwashed pilot.
You're right.
Would you like
That's
his name
true.
too?
You have scoundrel Han Solo type.
Hey, Cassian Andor's legit. Okay.
You know what? Actually,
no, Cassian.
he wasn't as bad. He wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
You know
They're
what?
gonna make a TV show.
I can get
about
behind him. I can get behind him. I can get behind Jyn Erso. That guy, I only know him as Guy from Black Panther.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera was on the Clone Wars TV show, Sean.
Was he?
Yes.
Wow.
So maybe if you actually watched the Clone Wars
I'm
TV
not
show.
watching it. I'm not watching it.
Were you trying to say that it was a movie earlier?
It
No,
was,
there was
a
a
movie and a TV show.
show.
Oh. My bad.
I'm not watching it. My brother has seen
You can
it
obviously
2
care-
times. He's
see how much I
kicking
care about
himself
the
right now.
Clone Wars.
And then the robot was actually kind of snarky.
He was pretty
So
funny.
K-
But he was also
K2SO4?
one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a freaking robot. let's be honest here. Robots don't change
this-
much.
And is this a movie where they like tried to bring up robot rights? And,
No,
like,
that was Solo.
That was
Yeah.
Solo. Oh, that was Solo. Yeah. You're, okay.
Don't worry, Sean. Don't worry.
So my point is, half of this cast, we don't even know their names. We only know their one defining character trait that doesn't change.
Ready?
And I think that blank characters
Okay, but
makes for a
here's the
less
thing,
than
though.
stellar movie.
I cannot be in charge of knowing names because I pretty much only know Luke and Leia and Han. Those are the 3 names that I know from Star Wars. I just don't,
Okay.
you know, it's fine.
So just to set the record straight, guy with big gun, his actual name is Baze Malbus.
Oh, okay.
Blind guy is Chirrut Iwe, and then the pilot guy is Bodhi Rook.
Sorry, dropped my
So there's and the robot dude, K2SO4, and guy from Black Panther, according to Sean, is Saw Gerrera.
Wait. Is K2SO4 potassium sulfate?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Why would you name a robot potassium sulfate?
Sir, this is your favorite movie.
Ah. All right. We've learned that I'm a very fickle creature. But I don't know. It was pretty.
It was pretty.
Yeah. I've only seen it once. I can't really. I just know that I liked it. That's my opinion.
So Sean.
And
besi-
so, like, spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh no.
You know, them all dying at the end.
What?
That did not matter to me because I did not care about these characters. You know, when I see Guy with Big Gun dying, I'm like, oh no, Guy with Big Gun. I don't care. I do not care.
But Sean,
Sean, you heartless wench.
it was such an important moment when you saw him accept his blind friend's role as being one with the Force. Like, are you telling me you didn't feel any emotional sadness for him?
One with the Force guy was annoying. He kept saying it over and over.
But like at the end when everyone dies, it's the sort of thing where like, you know, you have this camaraderie between all of these people who are from very, very different walks of life. Well, I mean, Jin and Cassian are kind of like the same person, but we're not talking about that. So, and then at the end, after, you know, they've all become friends and are working together, and they realize that their mission isn't in vain, but they're probably not going to come out alive, they still do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's really important because, I don't know, it's like the sacrificing of self for the greater good.
Exactly.
And it didn't matter whether or not they came back. It was just them doing their duty. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people ignore in good, I'm going to say war films, because a lot of the time it's like, oh, go against your duty and, like, go back and save that person. Like, go against what people tell you to do. And in this one, they went in, they knew that they probably weren't going to come back, and they did their mission, and they pretty much single-handedly helped. Single-handedly helped is an oxymoron, but they helped to save the galaxy from the Empire.
Yeah. If you think about it, Sean, without these useless characters,
there would be no Star Wars.
There would be no New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, which you cited as the best movies.
Paul, I also just really like your shirt.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars.
It's a Star Wars shirt.
I wore it today to commemorate.
Oh, that's
first.
so nice. Can you believe that?
So my problem with this argument, Paul, is...
No. It was my argument.
My problem with this argument, Sarah... I mean, sure, I guess you could say, oh, the original trilogy wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for their accomplishment. But, like, that's not what I define a good movie by. Like, it's like how these characters are relevant to the plot, you know? You can say they're relevant to the plot.
What do you define a good movie as, Sean?
Compelling characters.
Okay.
And compelling storytelling.
Are you telling me the storytelling in this movie was not compelling?
I'm telling you that yes.
Oh, he's telling you.
Great sacrifice, great, you know, giving yourself up for the greater cause. But if you have these very underwhelmingly compelling characters, that means nothing to me.
So Sarah's going to look up what the word compelling means.
Because I can't
right now.
fight back. Like, I know what it means. It's this evoking interest, attention, or admiration in a powerfully irresistible way.
Yeah, so the two people listening to this...
I think compelling storytelling is a result of dynamic, interesting characters who change over the plot of the storyline and who you want to see, who you want to know more about.
Are you telling me you don't want to know more about Cassian and Jin?
Meanwhile,
Jin and Cassian...
Because they're making an entire new TV show just about Cassian.
But they died.
No, but they're making, like, from his origins.
I did cite earlier that they were more interesting.
Okay.
But the movie attempted to place focus on this entire cast of characters.
I think...
Which I just wasn't into it.
I don't know. I feel like a story isn't really determined by how interesting the characters themselves are because... how they change over a movie, because you can certainly have a good movie without dynamic characters, because I feel like the whole thing in this movie was that the plot was greater than the characters themselves. And also, I just really like that you don't really know a lot about these people. You don't get a full backstory. Right. And in the end, with all of them perishing, it's like, it's a weird feeling, because obviously you're happy they completed their mission, but you're also really upset because you're like, these people, I didn't know them, but for however long the running time was, 2 hours? But for 2 hours, like, you get a glimpse into their life and you learn about these people through their actions. And I just feel like it's less of them needing to change over time and more of just a simple introduction, because then as soon as you have that introduction, they're gone. And it's a very sad feeling, but it's also incredibly powerful because I don't know. It's happy and sad at the same time, and you're hopeful and you're distraught, and it just really makes a good segue for if you watch them in not released order, but like chronological order with time in the universe. I think it's a really good segue into New Hope because they certainly did inspire that.
Right.
They were martyrs.
I mean, and if you think about it, all the other Star Wars movies up until this point, not including Solo, because Solo came out after this, all of them have been about the Skywalkers.
Mm.
This is true.
And so getting a movie where there was not even a mention of a Skywalker until the very end with Leia, and that wasn't like Luke, none of that was brought up, it was kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
Like not having to listen to the, oh, my father, oh, blah, 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 blah.
I am definitely very much so behind the idea of spin-off movies. And I'm actually quite upset that they canceled the rest of them.
What do you mean?
They did what?
Yeah.
So you like the idea of spin-off movies?
I think it could have been executed much better than Rogue One was.
Okay, but you like the idea of
I
spin-off.
think Rogue One's the best spin-off movie
spin-offs
so
as a
far.
whole, I'm
Oh yeah,
down
big fan.
for. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So I don't mean to say that, it's not refreshing, and I don't want to be refreshed. I want more Luke.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway.
So any other criticisms for this movie, Sean?
Criticisms.
I feel like we've exhausted this
Darth
movie.
Vader's dumb castle. It was on
Okay.
Mustafar, wasn't it?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, so okay.
Why is that a
the
thing?
reason the castle is on Mustafar
It's like
is
Bowser's castle is like
yeah,
Mario Kart.
Exactly.
No, they weren't trying to copy Bowser's. No.
Yes,
So
they
the reason that
It's like
Darth
you
Vader's
see,
castle,
mystery boxes everywhere.
there's not mystery. No,
Like a Lakitu
Sean,
going by.
They have
Sean,
lightsabers in them,
did the castle look like Bowser's castle at
Yes.
Let me look this up.
all? Okay, you can look up
Darth
um,
Vader's
I almost hope it did now.
Okay, but
castle.
see, the reason they had Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar was because Darth Vader resented.
Oh, you know what this looks like?
What?
What?
This looks like the tower in
Turn your
Mordor.
computer around.
Sauron's tower.
You're right, though.
Are you telling me?
Or Saruman's tower in Isengard. They both fit the bill.
So you're telling me that the Disney people who made Rogue One were ripping off Lord of the Rings?
No, that's not my point. My point is it's ridiculous that he
It
has a
looks
castle in Mustafar.
Okay, so
And he makes a pun.
Okay,
Come
okay.
on. Darth Vader is one of the greatest characters of all time, and
His
it's
name
just
is a double entendre.
Yes.
It means dark father in German.
I know. I know this.
Oh,
So
okay.
then why?
So why is it so unacceptable that he makes a pun?
And
Sean,
think-
his name is a pun.
And think about it. Anakin in the prequels makes plenty of puns and jokes and stuff.
yes,
so
but
why
they
can't
weren't funny.
Yeah,
why-
but it's Darth Vader.
He gets
you
a
know.
sense of humor when he transfers.
Darth.
Okay, but you have to remember chronologically.
Don't
Rogue-
choke on your aspirations.
Okay.
He's choking him while doing this.
That's comedy gold.
Like,
He's
think about it,
supposed to
Sean.
be menacing.
But Sean, think about it. Rogue One's before the deep, dark Darth Vader stuff, like New Hope, all that stuff, where he's like,
by
dark,
what,
dark, dark.
20 minutes.
But think about it.
It flows into
So
New Hope.
hungry.
You
I mean-
can't say there's a
Sorry.
change.
Listen, Anakin
ignoring
was
this.
kind of a jokester. Like
No.
granted,
Anakin
his
was.
jokes sucked.
Anakin was.
His
but
jokes
then he
did
killed
suck.
all the younglings. Then he killed all the younglings.
No.
It's not completely unacceptable.
His jokes were good. They were just
And the
executed
women
horrifically.
and the children.
They were animals.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
slaughtered them girls.
Oh man. Okay, but the castle. The reason the castle's on Mustafar is because Anakin, or now Darth Vader, felt that his defeat by the hand of Obi-Wan was so unacceptable that he needed a permanent reminder of his failure. So that's why his castle is there, because he needs to show himself, this is where I failed before and I can never fail again. So.
On another note.
So you're just gonna ignore exactly what I said.
On another note. I'm agreeing to disagree with you on this one.
Okay.
On another note, the end of the movie does not actually logically flow into New Hope.
Okay, explain that one, because I thought it logically flowed very well. And
They
I think
are
Sarah would agree
they're
with me on
stealing
What?
these blueprints.
Sorry, I zoned out.
That's all right.
No, I didn't.
She's on her phone.
I saw something about the Endgame being released, so I got distracted.
Ooh, we could talk about Marvel one day. We will talk about Marvel one day.
It's on the list.
Okay, anyways.
It is on the list.
At the end of Rogue One, they're like
Yeah.
all dying and exploding, and they're stealing these blueprints, and they're like just barely escaping, by the like
Skin of their teeth.
skin of their teeth. That's
You're
the phrase.
welcome.
Fly their pants. Sit in their pants.
No, that
And
means you're
then they're
improvising
being
something,
hunted
Paul.
down by Darth Vader
No.
because they're escaping with these blueprints
Yes.
by the skin of their teeth.
Yes.
And then it flows into New Hope, and then in New Hope, Leia tries to argue they're on a diplomatic mission.
To Alderaan.
They're not on a diplomatic mission. You're pretty blatantly escaping this explosion with the blueprints. You can't argue it's a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Sean, okay. Here's a hypothetical situation. Let's say, for instance, you don't do your homework, right?
Okay.
And your teacher gives you your homework,
Uh-huh.
and you rip it up in front of her
Yeah.
and throw it in the recycling bin.
Okay.
Are you still going to say, I didn't do my homework? Or are you going to try and convince her that you did your homework so that you could maybe get credit? And so she can't send you to the principal's office because you're not admitting to not doing your homework.
I think this is an awful analogy.
I would agree it's an awful analogy. I could better word this, but the point still stands. If you're gonna get arrested, why would you admit to something right in front of them? Whereas you could deny it and plead innocent. Although you probably will be found guilty, you wouldn't just be like, oh, yep, that was me, I did it, send me to prison.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but the funniest thing to me is that when the people are actually guilty and then they plead innocent anyway to try to lessen their sentence, it's like, isn't that contempt of court? Because they know they did it, but then, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's
But yeah,
just
so,
me being confused.
Sean, why would they straight up say, yep, we have the plans? Like, they're trying to get away from them. So they might as well say they don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
They're gloating. They're in there for the glory. I don't know.
What's your response to that?
In any case,
Sounds like a subject change is ahead.
in any case, I still think the logic is a little faulty. But
Your faulty
this...
logic.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Sean.
How's it going?
Hey. It's pretty good. How are you? I'm hungry.
In any case, even though... Okay, I'm going to let this one go because...
So you're just basically saying I don't have a good response to that.
No.
He's
no.
conceding.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hearing, Sarah.
Back to the
Conceding
corner.
in spite.
In spite, you can't.
Because-
you can't concede in
Going
spite.
back to what I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, a good movie is determined by great dynamic characters,
No.
compelling characters, compelling
These characters were compelling.
We've already been over this.
big
Sean.
gun guy.
Tell me you didn't want to see him just like shoot someone up. Like, come on, man.
Oh,
Dude,
I hope
him
big
with the
gun guy
RPG.
shoots someone.
He was
Think
more
about it.
than
and
big
so
gun guy.
I can't
can't tell you what
like
else he was
logic
right now,
discrepancies
but-
in the plot don't matter to me because it doesn't matter because it doesn't contribute to compelling storytelling.
It does though.
And so for that reason,
Think about it.
because I don't care.
Okay.
I'm letting go.
Okay, Sean. Then
You
how?
have a Labante's pen in your sleeve.
I know I do.
What kind of argument could you give us, Mr. Pen up your sleeve? Sorry, this is a personal attack now, but there's two.
But Sean. Okay, so fine. How do you feel about the whole Galen Erso, Jyn Erso storyline?
Oh boy.
Remind me of it.
So the whole thing where Galen created this flaw in the Death Star, and then he hid it from Krennic, and then had Jyn get the message from the pilot and all that stuff. How do you feel about that whole father-daughter dynamic?
I was into it.
So
yeah,
you were into that.
honestly.
Because most people complain about how stupid that was.
No, I thought that was lovely. It's really nice to have a character in Star Wars that doesn't have daddy issues.
She does.
Okay,
She definitely
but
does.
like, at least her father didn't try to kill her.
Yeah, he was,
Fair
he was a
point,
loving
fair
father
point.
in the end.
What about Krennic as a villain? Did you find Krennic as a good villain?
I don't even remember him. Which
The
tells me
dir-
that no. The answer is no.
Director Krennic, the
I've
guy
seen
with
this
the white
movie, I
cape.
think, 3 times, and I remember nothing about this guy other than him, like, storming onto the planet trying to find...
Are we
the
blind?
family.
Deploy the garrison. Like that guy? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
I remember him being choked
I don't know.
when Vader was like, "Don't choke on your aspirations."
That's still so funny. Alright, I feel like we've exhausted Rogue
Yeah.
One, and we're just going
You know
back
what?
and forth now.
W-
Moving on.
I mean,
Paul,
Paul.
yeah.
I placed Empire as in first place.
Yeah,
Yes.
Empire's my number 2.
You had it in 8th place.
What is
Okay.
wrong with you?
So,
What?
okay, so,
No.
On
okay,
Earth.
first of
No.
all, I'd just like to point this out.
What on
Sarah had
Earth?
Rogue One in first place.
Yeah.
I had it in second place. You had it in 8th place.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah.
I have Empire Strikes Back in 8th place. You had it in first. She had it in second.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
so I'm just putting that out
Right.
there. So before you jump all over me, Sean, we just jumped all over you.
Right, so I'm not being jumped on, so here I go. Paul, what is wrong with you?
Okay, so the reason I hate Empire Strikes Back so much is because I think it's completely overhyped and blown out of the water with, oh, it's the greatest it's the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. It's the greatest sequel ever. It's like, what the heck? I mean, yes, okay, it wasn't a bad film. It's just people give it way too much credit. Like, think about it. What's the real storyline there? You got the Battle of Hoth, and then you got Luke going to Yoda and Bespin. That's it.
You have character development.
What's the character
You
development?
have, okay. Okay, so you have Hoth, and then they're being chased down by the Empire, so they need to escape.
Okay, so then how did Luke get away from the Empire so easily?
He flew away?
Yeah, he flew away. You want to explain that to me? Han, Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO, all of them, they're being chased by the Star Destroyers. Oh my god. And Luke just flies away to Dagobah. Explain that.
They were a distraction, so Luke could leave.
Okay, so let's see. I'm the Empire in my big, mighty Star Destroyer here. And I see a bunch of ships going out. Ion Cannon protects us, the transports, right?
Mm.
Millennium Falcon and Luke's X-Wing are the last ships to leave Hoth. And the Ion Cannon's been disabled because the Empire storms in and takes out the rebels there. So those 2 ships go up. Got a bunch of Star Destroyers there. You see 2 ships. You see Luke's X-Wing and you see the Millennium Falcon. Which one do you think Luke's on?
The
His
Millennium Falcon.
His X-Wing. What's Darth Vader's main goal? To get
kill the
Luke.
Millennium Falcon.
So why would they chase?
No, I think they would think he was on the Falcon,
Yeah.
not on the X-Wing.
They would think that the
Why
X-Wing-
would-
All the pilots are on X-Wings. Every
No,
single
all the
one.
pilots
Yeah.
are in the transports.
How do they know that? No,
Because
not.
the X-Wings don't really work in Hoth.
How do they know that?
That's why they have to
Luke's,
use
though?
that's why they have to use the snow speeders.
But then how do they know that it's Luke's X-wing?
But you see my point here.
No, I don't.
Darth Vader sees Luke getting into his X-Wing.
But how does he know that it's Luke?
Okay, so are you telling me?
No, no.
He sees
I mean-
Luke getting
I
into the X-Wing
mean-
and flying away?
How does he know that it's Luke's X-wing though? Because he sees him get in.
He sees him get in.
But there's multiple, aren't there?
All of them are gone. That's what I'm saying. Is the Ion Cannon?
He catches up.
Oh,
They go at like
catch-
Paul.
Like, but you see my point here. It's like Luke's X-Wing, Millennium Falcon. All the Star Destroyers, the Empire's trying to get Luke, and they see these 2 ships flying away from Hoth, and they're like, let's chase the Millennium Falcon and completely ignore Luke's X-Wing and let him go off to Dagobah.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Like, what?
Let him do what he wants, honestly. I feel like, because he had tried to catch him before in the previous film, right?
Not
No?
really, no.
Okay, well, I don't know. If I were Vader and be like, oh, my son is a goody two-shoes, screw him.
But the whole movie is about Vader trying to kill him. Because if you think about it, at the end in Bespin, like, Vader's like, oh, we have to kill Luke, we gotta freeze him in carbonite and bring him to blah, 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 blah. So why don't they chase after the thing? He hires frickin' bounty hunters, which is a whole nother thing which we'll get into. But he hires bounty hunters to find Luke, not to find Han and Leia and all of them.
Because doesn't he already have them by that point?
No.
So, okay. I'm trying to find
my God.
plot synopses of Empire.
Yeah.
Everything's blocked on these school computers. But the one I am able to find says... all it says is that Darth Vader hires bounty hunters to hunt down the Millennium Falcon, and he's hunting the Millennium Falcon. I think that Vader believed Luke was on the Falcon, and that's why he went after the Falcon.
But do we have proof of that? Like, I mean, how...
I wish I could bring up, like, more detailed synopses than the Wikipedia one, so we could actually get the details and the facts.
But literally, like, Luke, if I'm remembering the scene correctly, Luke is in his X-Wing, and he's talking to the Millennium Falcon, and they're just like, oh, we'll meet you, blah, 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 blah. And Luke's like, no, I'm going to Dagobah. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
And then he flies away to Dagobah, and then the next scene is the Empire chasing the Millennium Falcon.
I think it's because...
And then they have to go through the asteroid field and all that stuff.
I think it's because they thought Luke was there the whole time.
But then how would they think he's there the whole time?
Why wouldn't they?
It's the Falcon.
But I just explain that whole thing. They see Luke getting on his X-ray, and then it's
they don't. Do they see that happen?
I'm pretty sure they do.
We need to watch the movie again.
I wish I could see. Okay. Nevertheless.
Alright, so that's my first thing. It's like this whole thing that besides that whole like why the heck do they look for Luke on the Falcon? The whole romance thing between Leia and Han Solo, like.
Yeah.
Do you guys is that why you like the movie so much? Like, because that's literally like when I think of Empire Strikes Back, that's the only thing I can come up with. Like, there's no big plot thing. It's Luke getting trained by Yoda, which, to be honest, there's not a whole lot there anyways. And then it's them on Bespin hiding with Lando after they get through the asteroid field and stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess
like it just doesn't seem like there's any.
So here's my take.
Compelling story there other than Han and Leia, which is like.
Here's my take. We have our cast of heroes.
Okay.
Trapped, hiding out on Hoth, and
right.
They're discovered.
Yep.
By the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming for the Empire, and they're coming for Hoth. They're coming for the Rebel base, the last of the rebellion.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Okay. No, I agree.
They
I
have
agree.
this escape.
The Battle of Hoth. The Battle of Hoth is pretty cool.
Okay.
Wait your turn.
They escape. Now they're hunting down the Falcon. Now they need to escape. They need to go through the asteroid field. Oh no, we're stuck in a giant worm. Oh no, how do we get away from this Imperial cruiser? We gotta hide on the side of the cruiser. Okay, where do we go now? Oh boy, we gotta go to Bespin. Oh no, we're still being hunted. Oh no, there's Vader there. Meanwhile, Luke is training with Yoda, which I actually found to be very spiritual and very enlightening and very lore building.
Yeah, what he said.
Okay, Sarah.
And then Luke is confronted with either like abandoning his training to help his friends, or to stay with Yoda and complete his Jedi training. And he chooses his friends over his training. He chooses his friends over his destiny. I think all of this is very inherently exciting.
Yeah, I really, really like it because
you made it out to be like there's Hoth and then there's Bespin. That's it. But that in itself,
it's so boring. Like, that's what I'm saying.
I think there's so many things going on here that you're always on this edge of your seat. Always thinking,
it's not, though.
What's next?
So with the first one, it's obviously the exposition. You get the introduction into the conflict and the different characters that you have. In the last one, it's obviously, the climax and resolution, the denouement. Whatever. The second one, I feel like focuses less on the plot and more on the characters themselves. So it's less of, these people are part of this journey to go and defeat Vader, whatever. I feel like it's more just describing them and their personalities and how they act and whatever.
Right.
Like I just really prefer that to actually, I don't know, that's going to sound dumb. I prefer a story about people rather than about people trying to do something.
Thus why I don't like Rogue One.
Oh.
So, in any case.
No, to throw this back out there then.
Okay.
Fine, if you guys don't care about the plot whatsoever, and you're just like, it's all about the characters in the story, and all the character building and, like, development of them, why do you hate Attack of the Clones? Because that's literally that entire movie. And you guys think that is the worst movie.
Because the acting is garbage.
I think the characters are garbage.
Yes.
But you see my point.
Ewan McGregor is the only good.
But you guys see my point. It's like, the characters and the development, it's so important. But then you guys throw that all away and say, there's no action, no nothing. All these characters suck in Attack of the Clones. So isn't that kind of hypocritical?
Hold on, you just said,
no.
I like this because of the characters, and then you say Attack of the Clones sucks because you don't like the characters.
That's exactly the reason.
Yeah.
It's just...
You're right. You're right, Paul.
But,
good job.
Yay! You proved our point.
My point is that if you can't get into the characters in Empire Strikes Back, which, I mean, granted, Sarah said it's refreshing to have a Star Wars movie without the romance and all that stuff. So, I mean...
Yeah, I don't really like romance movies, so hey.
if you have the romance between Han and Leia as your entire, like, liking of the movie, sure. Why not? That's I mean, it's better than Anakin and Padme. I'll admit that. Like, like Leia and Han.
I just threw up on my mouth a little.
Leia and Han
I just threw up
are
out of my mouth a lot.
Oh,
way
God.
superior to
Probably
that.
get some.
So I will respect that decision if you guys say, "Oh, I'm in this movie for the romance between Han and Leia." But if you're not in it for that, it's lackluster. It's boring.
That's where I disagree with you.
That's people's
I think it's exciting because of everything I talked about before.
Yeah.
but
I think the characters are
I feel like-
exciting. I think the characters are exciting. You know, you have Luke's struggle, friends versus his training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the love thing is a struggle in and of itself. You know, you see how Han started in New Hope as this scoundrel, and he's starting to reveal his heart of gold more and more as the story progresses.
That is literally where the key moments of character development take place, because they are faced with all of these difficult decisions.
And that culminates in Carbonite, where Han, you know, I love you, I know, like, that shows so much growth for both of those characters. Han, the scoundrel, turned into this loving person, and Leia, you know, the like tomboyish, snarky princess, you know, she also shows her vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then the final battle between Luke and Vader is another masterpiece. It culminates in the father reveal, which at the time when it wasn't like foreseen, when people didn't know about it, that was the most incredible reveal of all time. On top of all of this, the movie contributed to the lore greatly. You have interesting places like Hoth, like Dagobah, like Bespin. You have interesting new concepts about the Force. Like, we didn't really solidify what the Force is until Yoda really went into it. You know, we have some basic explanations with Obi-Wan in New Hope, but Yoda really got to explain, you know, the idea of the dark side and the light side and the balance and the beauty between it all, the connection between the trees and the forest and the rocks. It's the glue that holds everything together. Also...
Sean, are you religious?
No.
Oh, neither am I. That's so funny. Paul, are you religious?
Not really.
And you hate the spiritual movie. Moving on. So.
Also, Luke, force pulling the lightsaber to him in the Wampa cave. It's the first time we see force push-pull in the whole series. That's the first time they introduced that concept. They added so much to the lore. Mm-hmm. And they added so much to the lore in combination with a plot that I actually think is exciting, and I think you are ludicrous to say it's boring.
I just
Paul doesn't
on
care
top
about
of these
characters.
dynamic, interesting characters, amazing like cinematography.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pull up the Vader battle right now? Like, there's silhouettes against the Bespin like carbonate thing room, whatever it is. Oh.
But I mean, like I said, it's just, I feel like the entirety of the movie is just a long, drawn-out thing. There's no point to it. Like, okay, you've seen the Lord of the Rings movies, correct, Sean?
Oh, have I seen them?
Like,
yes, I've seen
like,
them.
great movies. I will agree. But at some point, when you're like, okay, this is 3 hours, and it's just them walking. That's what I feel.
They're
like.
hunting for Merry and Pippin.
But I mean, I love the movies. Don't get me wrong. But like, when that's what I feel like Empire Strikes Back
landscapes.
is. But like, I feel like Empire Strikes Back is the Lord of the Rings movies of the Star Wars universe.
franchise?
It's just them dragging it out and just walking, and it's just like,
But
why do I
interesting.
care?
I mean, no offense.
Why do I care? Like, and you brought up Darth Vader making a pun in the freaking Rogue One.
Because that broke character.
Yoda's a complete jokester in Empire Strikes Back. He's supposed to be this wise old Jedi, but like.
Oh my god! All right, Sean's gonna deck Paul.
But like, he's supposed to be this wise old Jedi, and he's like acts like a freaking Muppet. Like, I don't want to see Muppet Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. I'd rather see like an actual wise Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Like, even in Attack of the Clones, which you hate, which was way cooler Yoda, and in Return of the Jedi, where
Sean just broke 2 pencils. Yeah.
But
Cool.
like, you think Vader looks ludicrous in that scene? Yoda looks like a complete like piece of crap.
No, he doesn't, bro.
So, okay.
Oh my god.
We need to talk about some things, Paul. We need to sort some
I'm
things
just
out.
gonna sit back
I-
and let you guys hash it out.
I
okay?
did not like Vader making that pun in Rogue One because it broke character. And I think it reflected poorly on the amazing character that they built in the original trilogy. I think they're sort of like scarring the greatness they'd already made. In the same way that, like, you know, Lucas went back and added CGI to the original trilogy. Like, why did you need to do that? Why did you need to change the originals in that way? That's why I didn't like the Vader quote, because you're changing his character. Yoda,
Muppet Yoda.
Loda.
being like stealing like Luke's lunchbox.
Like, why did I need to watch that? Why did I need to watch
That's
that?
Yoda testing Luke. Yoda wanted to see if Luke was ready for the training.
Are you telling me that Yoda just didn't want to get some food?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think no. The whole point of Yoda like pretending to be, he wasn't ridiculous. He was pretending to be ridiculous. The whole point of Yoda pretending to be ridiculous was to see if Luke is ready for the training by seeing how he reacts in confrontation with something so frustrating and foolish.
But like, that was a 10-minute scene.
And
Why
it's
did I need to
important.
watch that for 10 minutes?
I think it built up. Suspense.
Really, it built up
Because
suspense.
once it's revealed to us that this is the
But
Jedi
it's not
Master
revealed.
and it was all a
But
test.
if you're watching this for the first time, you don't know who Yoda is at all. Which we're assuming with the whole Darth Vader, you are my father.
Then it's
Like,
funny.
I'm your
It's
father.
funny that this
But, like,
little goblin is
you're
like
you're watching this little goblin
like
steal his lunch for 10
smacking R2-D2 with
Yeah.
a stick. That's
Like,
hilarious.
Like, I'm watching this for 10 minutes. Like, why the hell am I watching this? Like, why did they add? That's like, it's ludicrous. And then if you like take it in chronological order, if you watch it and Yoda's this wise Jedi Master, and then you see him acting like a Muppet and like eating Luke's lunch and smacking R2-D2.
It was to test him.
I know, but it undermines Yoda's entire character.
Okay,
No,
but
I
the
think
dude
it- I think-
also lives on a planet by himself. Like, he's got to get lonely sometimes. He's
I
making friends.
think the fact that he was wise enough to test him in this way is in line with him being this wise, powerful person.
But you guys are still missing the point.
And it's also great comic relief. I think it's interesting to be
Yeah.
watching him smacking R2 with a stick.
But like, you're missing the point. Why am I watching this for 10 minutes straight?
I just told you. I just
I
told
feel
you.
like-
Comic
Okay,
relief.
so
Okay,
comic
okay,
relief.
no,
Okay,
wait,
comic relief. If you want a comic relief, you can make like a minute, 2-minute scene at most. You didn't need to drag it out for him eating the lunch, him digging through Luke's stuff, him smacking R2.
Paul,
Like,
Do you
why?
see what it's
wasn't
doing to
that
you?
Yeah, it's making me frustrated with the stupidness.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
the
thing.
entire thing. Part of cinematography is trying to convey tone, which is what the audience is supposed to feel in relation to watching what the characters are doing on screen. To see Luke be this frustrated and to be like, all right, this has moved on too long, the audience gets frustrated, and then when it's revealed, it's like, oh, and it makes just the relationship between Luke and Yoda, I feel like, almost stronger in the eyes of the audience.
I don't know.
guess.
I just feel like it undermines the character. It doesn't because this is the first time you see Yoda, and
Yeah.
it just sets him up as kind of an undermined character who you don't really take as seriously as if he came out as a wise old Jedi.
Well, that's his whole shtick, isn't it? He is, I want to say conniving. Like, his whole thing is that he wants to appear weaker than he actually is, so then he can go in for the kill. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean,
Or that, like, you know, life isn't always so serious.
but
Yeah.
you have to remember, this is a movie, like this is a scene, and
More or less.
like, so I'm already frustrating watching Han and Leia and R2 and them running through asteroid fields. Like,
Again, I don't think this is frustrating. I think it's
I think
exciting.
it's
wait,
and
I
it's
don't
just,
think
like,
it's exciting though.
And I think
wait,
that
and the
I
thing-
think fundamentally that is the disagreement we have, because we think it is exciting and interesting and we want to keep watching, and you think it is boring.
Yeah, like, I mean,
I think that comes
C-3PO
down
is
to
like,
fundamental
the odds
differences.
of navigating an asteroid field are blah, 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 to 1. Like, you obviously know they're not going to die in a stupid asteroid field. Like, why do I care if it's like, oh, they almost got hit by, like, who cares? You obviously know they're going to live. Like, are you telling me, so they made it through Darth...
We?
Okay, so they made it through New Hope, they made it through Darth Vader, they made it through the Battle of Hoth, and they die in an asteroid field. Like, what? Like, that would be an awful ending. So why would they die in an asteroid
Because
field?
it would just...
Like, I mean, like...
Because it's it's the same reason why certain characters. Well, I'm thinking of a book right now, but it's why. I don't know, to say that their whole thing was in vain, to show that not every hero triumphs. Like, it be like that sometimes. Every Greek tragedy ever, Paul.
Yeah, but like...
It's a fantastic ending. It's a classical ending. You don't know.
I know, but what I'm saying is, my whole point here is that you already know they're gonna make it. So why are we spending so much time on this, in my opinion, useless montage?
Why are you watching the movie if you just want to see what happens in the end?
It's not that I want to see what happens in the end.
Really? Because that's what you're arguing. You just want to know the exposition, what conflict they're facing, and then what happens, what do they do. You don't want to go through the process of them figuring out how to fix it.
What I'm saying is, I'm okay. I love seeing the process come out. It's just I hate waiting for excessively long times to see that process finally get drawn out and finished.
But that's the way it is in real life.
Isn't it so annoying? People draw out what they're trying to say and not just say it. Like, doesn't that piss you off sometimes?
No, this is actually kind of amusing to me.
Keep going.
See,
you know
comic
what?
relief.
All of our podcasts should just be like this. 'Cause
I mean,
people will love that.
Okay, so
I think so.
Sarah, I know you haven't seen Solo.
ASMR.
I know you haven't seen Solo, but the reason Solo's lower on my list is because there's this really stupid scene where it's like Chewbacca's hanging out of the side of the train and the cliff is coming towards him and it looks like he's gonna hit the cliff. It's like, obviously Chewbacca's gonna live. Like, why are you
We
trying
only
to...
know that because it's a prequel, Paul.
But you get what I'm saying, is it's released way after, and you know Chewbacca's not gonna frickin' die from the thing
Because
coming
these
with the
characters
train.
are continually faced with ultimatums that could end up in their death. And you know that they're going to survive, so it's the mystery of how they do it. It's like watching a magic trick. You see the beginning, you see the end, but you want to know the process, the magic behind it.
It builds character when C-3PO says, the odds of getting to the asteroid field are 1 and whatever, and Han Solo's like, we'll make it, it's okay. And he just like goes full steam ahead. That's that's characterization.
It literally is hot. Don't tell me the odds.
Okay,
That's what that's the
Never
line.
tell me the
like,
odds.
I'm fine with that. That's great. But again, do we need to draw it out for them going, wee? Like, how long is that? How long is that scene? 10, 12
It's
minutes?
exciting, Paul.
Like 7 to 12 minutes? Like, do I need to watch them going through an asteroid field for
Yes.
7 to 12 minutes? Like, no. If it was like a 5-minute scene, sure. But I don't need to see them going, woo, 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 woo. Like, what?
Why not?
Because I just feel like the whole movie could be condensed to like an hour. The movie is like 2 hours and 30 minutes, right? Like, I feel like you can, like, if you eliminate all the ridiculously drawn out scenes that you don't need to have drawn out, you could condense it to an hour. And that's why I have such a big problem with it.
Well, then you would just be going to the cinema to see a movie for an hour.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why do they need to make it so long?
You know,
Like,
I can't answer that for you, Paul. Because you obviously just don't appreciate what goes into a movie.
No, I do appreciate what goes into a movie. Don't high five on that. No.
Ow. I kicked the table.
But it's just, like I said at the beginning, I feel like the movie is completely overhyped. Like, it's a good movie. I'm not trying to completely...
Are you playing with your pencils
Yeah.
that you broke?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to obliterate it and call it the worst movie ever, because obviously it's not the worst movie ever. It's just...
No, you know what is? Attack of the Clones.
Phantom Menace.
No. Phantom
but-
Menace is so good compared to the other two.
Okay, no, okay, besides the point. So, I'm not saying it's the worst movie ever, I'm just saying that the fact that it's so overhyped...
Did that just come out of your mouth?
Yeah. I meant compared to the other prequels.
Oh, we'll get to that eventually.
But, like, the fact that it's so overhyped by everyone, they're like, oh my god, it's the best Star Wars movie ever. Oh my god, it's the best sequel of all movie history. I'm like, really? Like, do we really need to pump it up that much?
Yes,
Like,
Paul.
yeah, it was a great film. But, like, it wasn't the best movie of all time. Like, it was just... It just angers me when people throw Empire Strikes Back and it's just like, oh, like Empire Strikes Back is like the standard nowadays. Like, if a new Star Wars movie comes out and they're like, oh, was it as better than Empire Strikes Back? Like, when I was looking at reviews for The Last Jedi, like, people were like, oh, it's the best movie since Empire Strikes Back. Like, do we need, or it was the worst movie ever. Like, because that one's hotly debated, which we'll get to that one. But the fact that
Sorry.
it's the new standard for the best or the old standard now for the best Star Wars movie that's continued for all these years, it just baffles my mind because I'm like, I can't get behind the long drawn out stuff, the whole stuff with Yoda, like I said, the whole stuff that Luke just disappears off to Dagobah without being chased, the whole fact that another thing. Let's get on this issue here.
What? Oh, hey.
I brought this up earlier, but the bounty hunters.
Oh, what's
Wha-
wrong with the bounty hunters?
Yeah, I
Why-
think they're cool dudes.
Actually,
I like the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters are cool.
Good.
IG-88, Dengar, all those guys are cool. But the fact that the Empire, which is supposedly the most powerful, most resource-filled entity in the entire galaxy, needs to hire like 8 bounty hunters to track down this one ship, or Luke, is ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
Like that's like me being like, okay, I control all the military in all the world. Now I need the local police department to go find these 2 people. Like what? Like you have everyone. You have an entire army. You have an entire fleet. You have basically unlimited resources, and you're hiring 8 bounty hunters to track down these
to my
people.
understanding, those were like some of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy.
Yeah,
I
also,
get
Like
that.
Jango Fett is this Mandalorian
You mean
warrior.
Boba Fett.
I
Boba
was-
Fett, sorry.
yeah.
But,
Boba
like-
Fett is this Mandalorian
Like,
warrior.
I get that they're good bounty hunters and stuff, but you have literally millions of stormtroopers,
yeah, but
thousands
they
of
can't
ships.
aim. Have you seen any of the
Okay,
movies?
but you get my point.
No.
Is like it's ridiculous that
Just-
they'd
I think-
hired
I
8
think
people
Vader
to
wanted
find.
the most qualified people, and these bounty hunters are the most qualified people.
But shouldn't the most qualified people be coming from the most qualified?
No, because
overarching
they haven't
entity?
necessarily had to track down people like that in the past. Whereas bounty hunters, that's their livelihood.
As we've seen in later movies or now earlier movies, they have like death troopers. They have like
Ew, that's
like-
a dumb name.
But, like, you get what I'm saying, is they have extremely specialized forces to take care of matters like this. Why didn't they utilize them? Why did they hire 8 rando bounty hunters? Like, what?
So I actually, one thing I don't like about the movies is Jango Fett. Because, like...
Jango Fett or Boba Fett?
Boba. I keep saying Jango.
I want Boba Tea now.
Yeah. Boba Fett,
Come
like, a lot of people really like Boba Fett, which I didn't really understand, because he doesn't
He
have any
doesn't
lines.
do anything. He
Yeah.
literally just stands
He's
there.
cool, but, like,
and
he doesn't do anything. It's like
his
Darth Maul.
costume's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but Darth Maul has some friggin' point on his head. He's cool. He's like a reverse satyr.
Okay, so you don't...
He also has a double-sided lightsaber. Come on, man.
Okay. I have some things to say to you when we get to Phantom Menace. I have a lot of things to say to you when we get to Phantom Menace.
I have a feeling that I probably might not be back next week because I will be kicked off.
Oh my god, I hate Phantom Menace. Like, ugh. But continue about hating Boba Fett.
So yeah, I don't like Boba Fett that much. But I'm okay with it because it's not a focus of the movies. They never like tried to place a focus on Boba Fett. I think it's more of just the fans who really liked him.
No, but what I'm saying is...
But I with that being said, I'm not I'm not really dissuaded at all by the idea of, you know, hiring 8 random bounty hunters.
But why?
Because
Like, sure, so...
I think the justification that he wanted the most elite bounty hunters is like good enough.
Okay.
And with that being said that it's good enough, I don't really care about these nitpicky details. I care about the characters, compelling characters. Again, I'm going back to that because that's what makes a good story to me.
Okay, so... But what you said at the beginning was compelling characters and a compelling story.
Yeah.
And I've pointed out two
story.
Two details. Luke just randomly
Leave
getting
a
away.
visual up in here.
Okay, but
A visual for the podcast
yeah,
listeners?
you're gonna make a visual for the people listening. Okay, Sean.
We can take a picture of it and show it on the whatever.
Yeah, but like, I pointed out 2 details: the fact that Luke just randomly gets away without the Empire chasing him, and the fact that
You're right.
What do we
Okay,
got?
so Sean just wrote story is not equal to plot.
When I say compelling story, I'm not talking about these nitpicky. Why did he not get the bounty hunter? No,
but what I'm saying is,
why did he get away in the X-wing and the one?
The story is around the characters.
No, I
the
get-
characters
I get the story's
work
not
into
equal to
plot.
But what I'm saying is, these two details, which I pointed out, that neither of you really came up with a good reason why I'm wrong here.
Because
Other than the fact, irrelevant. I don't care. I still like the movie.
Yeah, because it is nitpicking.
But
Exactly.
And nitpicking does not dissuade me.
That's why I'm explaining. Is these two details, for me, undermine the plot, which in turn undermine the story, which in turn undermines the movie.
See,
Okay?
I disagree.
I feel like-
I don't think.
I'm an awful movie critic. This is what I've learned from listening to you guys, because I'm just kind of sitting here listening to you guys squabble, and I don't know, I kind of go to the movies to see a movie and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. So
I mean, I get that too.
I come out with a pretty, you know, everything that I say in relation to movies is just general view. Like, yeah,
which
that
is
was
okay.
pretty good.
No,
Which is okay.
Sarah, I feel
So-
because like when people come and watch a movie and they're like, "Oh, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong," that bothers me. But the thing is, the reason I'm so nitpicky about Empire Strikes Back and just the Star Wars stuff in general, Sean, please stop looking like.
Everything that has transpired has done so according to my design.
Okay, Darth Sidious.
Hey, big fan.
But what I'm saying is, I don't like to nitpick movies, but the reason I nitpick Star Wars in general is because I really, really like Star Wars. So I like to find that those details that I don't
You hear
find.
that? He likes Star Wars, so he wants to tear it apart and find what's wrong with it.
No, the thing is I do it specifically for Empire Strikes Back because people say it's the best Star Wars.
Oh, I can respect that.
So if people are gonna claim this is the best
racist.
Star Wars, and I personally don't feel it's the best Star Wars because I like the other movies better, I'm gonna look for these details to tear it apart.
Cool.
You see what I'm saying, Sean?
I just. So you're saying that because people like it, the nitpicking is more valid than it would be
Yes.
elsewhere?
Because if you have it on such a high pedestal, then I feel like your directive to find the faults in it is more necessary than if it's on a lower pedestal.
Well, for me personally, this became my favorite of the original three just because, I don't know, I just enjoyed it. And only then, after I had realized, oh yeah, this is my favorite movie of the original trilogy, did I realize that there's a lot of critics who say that it's the best one of the three. I'm like, so...
And I respect that.
Yeah, but for you, your, I guess, or your hate of it is derived from the fact that critics say it's the best.
No,
so
it's
you
my
want to prove
hate-
that it's not?
I don't want to prove that it's not. It's just, I personally, as I said at the beginning with my list, I personally feel like Return of the Jedi is the best movie. And I feel like critics gave too much props to Empire Strikes Back and undercut it so much so that I, in turn, felt like I personally had to bring Empire Strikes Back down off that pedestal to compensate for Return of the Jedi's lackluster reviews. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get it. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is really bad.
So, all in all, that's why I hate Empire Strikes... I don't hate it. That's why Empire Strikes Back is so far down on my list comparative to you guys, because you guys have it very high up.
Because you thought it was boring and because
I felt
you
like...
really disagreed with those
Yes.
plot points you mentioned.
Yes.
Paul just wants to prove everyone wrong. Wait,
I mean,
no,
that's
Sean
not-
wants to see the world burn.
That's
Quote,
that's not wrong. It's just...
not correct.
I feel like Return of the Jedi, in my mind, is the best Star Wars movie. And honestly, no matter what Disney or any new Star Wars movie comes out, they would have to do something dramatic and amazing to shake that placement at the top. And I feel like the fact that Empire Strikes Back is rated so highly and everyone is just like, this is the best Star Wars movie, I love it so much, and then like when you bring up Return of the Jedi, they're like, oh yeah, that one was the worst of the three, but it's still better than the prequels.
I prefer
like I feel
that
like they
one over A New Hope.
Like just saying.
But yeah, no, but like the general consensus is that Return of the Jedi was the worst of the three, and that yeah, it's better than the new Disney ones. Yeah, it's better than the prequels, but that's just because it was the original trilogy. And I feel like that mindset completely undercuts the movie, and just makes it so that nobody cares about it. And I feel like Empire Strikes Back, in my mind, was the worst of the three. So why should everyone love Empire Strikes Back and just go toss away, not even look at it, Return of the Jedi?
So you feel like your opinion is invalidated just because the general consensus is different than your opinion?
Exactly.
Paul, how dare you have that opinion?
I was gonna say that's really I don't know. I'm trying to flower.
Have fun there, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice flower.
Oh. Thanks.
But yeah, like I said, nothing against Empire Strikes Back. It's a good movie. It's just there are certain parts where you're just like, I don't see how this is the best. And then when you try and bring that up to people, like I've tried to bring it up to you guys, you get major pushback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I feel like that's unfair to the other movies, which are equally, or in my case, in my opinion, better than that movie.
I feel that. I can get behind that. Yeah. But I still don't agree with it.
Okay.
Okay. Then that's my opinion.
So next up on the docket to discuss, Return of the Jedi. How do you guys feel about that movie?
So that's your number one.
That is my number one.
It's pretty enjoyable.
Return of the. Well, you can go first, Sarah.
I don't know. I didn't really hate it or love it any more than the other ones. Ow! Everything just popped. I don't know. It was pretty good. I liked it better than A New Hope.
To me, it's a mixed bag because I think the conclusion was incredible. Like one of the best conclusions I've ever seen to a saga like this,
Mm-hmm.
if not the best.
Yep.
But then there's also some elements that I'm not a fan of.
Such
like,
as?
Ewoks, I think, are a little silly.
Okay, so...
And I
Yeah.
think are just like, a method for them to sell toys.
So why do you hate Ewoks so
And-
much? Let's get on.
Well, and then also, I didn't like fan service Leia because just fan service, it just makes me uncomfortable. Like I don't want that.
Yeah.
Sarah, how do you
so-
feel about that?
I don't know.
And then Leia being
Yeah.
revealed as Luke's sister, I think was kind of padding. Like we had the great Darth Vader reveal, and then they just
They were
added
like,
extra.
throw this
Yeah,
in there.
do that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they've kind of been building up to that.
The way she said it was to Han was so funny. Oh, he's my brother. What? She was like, oh, you didn't know that? Oh, you're so dumb. As if she had known for the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
please.
So yeah.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi does do a lot of amazing things, like the ending, like the escape from Jabba's palace, but also fan service, also Ewoks, also that convoluted, ridiculous plan that they had to escape Han out of there.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
so let's start off with the main one that a lot of people criticize, Ewoks. Why do you hate Ewoks so much? Because I personally don't have a problem with Ewoks. I think it was
I wouldn't use a word as strong as hate.
Okay, why do you dislike Ewoks?
Oh, no. I'm too short. I dropped the eraser behind the chest and I can't get it.
Because they are silly.
Oh,
Okay,
never mind. I got it.
why do you hate their silly? Or why do you dislike their
Sean,
silliness?
is that why you don't like me?
I like you, Sarah.
Aw. That's why Paul
Um,
doesn't like me.
I like you too, Sarah.
Aw. That's why I don't like me. Aw.
Okay.
I think there's too
Continue.
much of it.
What do you mean by too
I
much of
think
it?
it's silly to think that they could combat the stormtroopers in the final battle
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
because
no, I
they are the
agree.
reason that the stormtroopers couldn't protect their shield generators because the Ewoks were fighting back with rocks against their guns,
him.
laser beams.
I mean, yes, but you have to admit the whole purpose of the Ewoks, which some people thought was dumb and was a cop out by Lucas, but the whole purpose of the Ewoks was a cheaper version of the Wookiees. because Lucas couldn't afford to do full Wookiee suits for an entire cast. So he did smaller suits with Ewoks. And so I personally think that's kind of an ingenious plan. Is to create...
Wait. Is Ewok Wookiee backwards?
No.
It sounds similar, though.
Yeah, it's kind of a rearrangement of the letters, but...
Ewok.
That would have been a good conspiracy, though.
But no, the whole reason Lucas did the Ewoks was because it was a cheaper version to do instead of doing full Wookiee suits. And many people are like, well, what the heck, man, blah, 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 blah. But, like, I mean, you get it. It's you can't expect Lucas to spend his entire budget on making full Wookiee suits. And so, if you take it from that perspective, and then you look at the Ewoks beating the Stormtroopers, like, you have to have some parallel. So, like, if they were full Wookiees, would you have had a problem with them beating the Stormtroopers?
If they were full Wookiees attacking with rocks, I would have a problem.
Why do you hate the rocks? Like, you've seen how Chewbacca can, like, literally rip the arms off of Stormtroopers and beat them over the head with stuff.
Okay, but that's effective.
Like, so if you take that into consideration, and then they already had the script written for Wookiees, and then they didn't have the budget for the Wookiee costumes, so they went with Ewoks, like, you're asking them to go back and change the entire script so that they can have Ewoks instead of Wookiees.
How about give the Ewoks guns?
How would the Ewoks get guns, Sean? You want to explain that one to me?
I don't know, but...
They make them?
So you want
really,
vroom vroom with speeder bike, whee, Ewok to get a gun.
It really damages my suspension of disbelief when I see an ATST being toppled by a rock.
It's not a rock, Sean. It's the two swingy,
smashy thingies.
Called rocks?
No, they're trees. They're the trees that come together. And Mythbusters.
I remember that episode.
They did an episode where they proved that two swinging trees of that side could smash an armored vehicle like that.
They also did the one whether or not Luke and Leia could swing across the chasm with the
which would
belt.
Destroy Luke's waist.
Back.
But
It's
but
fine.
They did prove that you could do that. So, I mean, granted, yes, it's a complete chance that the ATSD walked through right where the logs would be. But still, my point stands, is that it's not super unbelievable.
I think it is. Have you ever heard of the Columbian Exchange?
I have heard of the Columbian Exchange, Sean.
For those of you who don't know, Europeans, they found the New World, and they slaughtered all the natives because they had guns, and the natives did not have guns.
Okay.
So,
and your
stormtroopers are the colonizers.
Yes.
Ewoks are the natives. They don't have guns.
Right.
So, how is it... That's my thing, too. How is it feasible for the Ewoks to fend off the stormtroopers? I can get sheer numbers, but they did not have that necessarily.
We didn't see them all in the film, yes.
Exactly, and I mean, you can probably assume that stormtroopers probably roughly have the same amount, given the size of the Empire, whatever.
Okay, but remember, it's a small strike team on the Force Moon, as the Emperor said. It's not a large...
Emperor said that it was his most elite group of soldiers.
It's an elite strike team. It's an elite strike team, but it's not a full battalion of soldiers.
They were murdered by a bunch of teddy bears.
Yes, the man-eating teddy bears did kill them.
I'm writing that one down.
But
that should have been the name of our podcast.
The man-eating teddy bears. But
yeah, that can be the name of this episode, though.
The man-eating teddy bears did eat them.
But they're not man-eating. Where did the word man-eating get thrown into this?
Sean,
said it.
Who are they gonna roast on a fire and eat?
Han.
Luke and Han.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They're man-eating teddy bears.
Oh yeah.
But if you remember correctly, in the Revolutionary War, which for those of you listening who don't know what the Revolutionary War is, I would get a
American Revolutionary
War. I would get a 4th grade education in the United States of America.
That was condescending.
Yes.
Because if you don't, from overseas, though.
If you don't know what the Revolutionary War is, I have severe doubts. But if you remember correctly, the highly trained British soldiers that were the best army in the world were defeated by the lackluster, kind of loser American militias because they knew the landscape and knew how to use guerrilla warfare to their advantage.
But they also had the same types of weapons.
But did they, though?
Yes.
They both had guns.
They both had muskets, which were inaccurate far away.
I think the colonies would have struggled if they had rocks instead of guns.
I really agree.
And I don't think they would have had time to set up big smashing trees and like...
But you know who did have time to do that? The Ewoks.
Why did they have big smashing trees set up, by the way?
Like, someone could just walk through and be like, killed by... How did he die? That big smashy tree thingy went off accidentally. Like,
We're just trying to catch raccoons with the thing. That's why it's there.
It's a rabbit trap.
Oh,
like,
man.
what? Giant
But, hey, so, you said... Okay, but Sean, going back to what you said in the last movie, Empire Strikes Back, you said you don't care about the plot holes and the nitpicky details. Would you agree that Ewoks' suspension of disbelief for Ewoks defeating stormtroopers is kind of a nitpicky detail?
I mean, they do have those sharp teeth, so...
See, the difference is that him getting away on the X-Wing... Which
would have changed the entire movie if they had just chased Luke instead.
Which I still don't, like, completely agree is invalid. Like, because I think it is pretty logical for Vader to think they're on the Falcon. But we're not going back to that.
Why not?
That's, like, between scenes that happens.
Uh-huh.
And then again, with the bounty hunter thing, they, like, hand over these 8 bounty hunters at one time, and that's all we see of them.
Yes.
Ewoks are persistent throughout half the film.
Okay.
So... nitpicky becomes like overwhelmingly apparent when it's such a focal point of what we're seeing.
Okay. But isn't it just enjoyable to just see little Ewoks beating the crap out of stormtroopers with rocks?
That's amusing, but also, if you think that the Empire is going to have these soldiers who cannot hit a target 5 feet from their face defending their empire, then you're crazy. So obviously there is some suspension of disbelief, and there has to be a little bit of unrealistic capabilities of some of these foes that the Empire is facing, because our heroes have to triumph.
Yeah.
So they are going to be unrealistically weak. I think if this happened in real life, that totalitarian regime would just... And
Luke and Leia and Han would all be dead.
They would literally survive forever. They would be executed in the first movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, Sean, the whole Ewok issue, I mean, I get it. People hate it because, it's ridiculous that they could beat up stormtroopers.
And again, hate is a strong word for
No, not just people in general.
Okay.
Like, they hate the fact that, these Ewoks should beat up the elite squadron and blah, 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 blah. But you have to realize, like, I mean... when you watch a Star Wars movie, the whole thing is based on science fiction, on fantasy, and you have to have some suspension of disbelief to really get into it. And the whole thing with, it's just a cheap Wookiee costume, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that was kind of, like, instead of being a cop-out by Lucas, it was kind of more ingenious that he thought of this instead of just...
I'm down with that. I could agree with that point.
I mean...
And again... yes, I'm not a big fan of the Ewoks, but it's not that bad. You know, I still have Return of the Jedi as my third spot, because I do love this movie. So...
okay, and then other stuff you said was the Leia... would you like to...
Fan service Leia?
Fan service Leia, yes. Why did you find that so... unappealing? Because I mean, I get that it was sexualization of women.
It's disrespectful.
And it's disrespectful for this strong character that they built.
Right.
In the first 2 movies. But I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense.
It makes sense, but they didn't need to do it. They did it because of the fan service.
I think they could have foregone it.
I think they could have foregone it, but I think it would have undercut Jabba the Hutt's character if they foregone it. Because if you think about it, Jabba the Hutt is the biggest, baddest gangster in the entire galaxy.
That's true.
That
And
they set up in the
Carrie
the
Fisher
original.
had even made a quote about it at one point, saying that, yeah, if you have to explain to your daughters why this, person that they're going to be looking up to is wearing something that clouds her so scantily, then you can be like, oh, because this
Slug.
made her wear it, so she choked him to death. Like, I feel like it's just more of a motive for her to kill him, but
Yeah.
I won't deny that it adds to Jabba's character,
but
and then the choking scene does add to Leia's character, but
Yeah.
they didn't need
they didn't
her
have to
wear
be that excessive.
I mean, yes,
feel
they
like-
didn't have to be that excessive, but you have to realize, like, Jabba the Hutt is a gross, disgusting slug.
I'm the little thing that sits on his shoulder and laughs.
Your salacious crumb. Like, I mean, Jabba. In the original trilogy, most people could agree that Jabba is the most disgusting, most revolting character from a physical and, like, ideological standpoint.
I don't know. He's kind of hot.
Okay, Sarah.
Will repeat that sentence?
Jabba the
I zoned
Hutt?
out.
Jabba
More
the Hutt.
like Jabba the Hot.
Okay, Sarah. We're gonna have to talk about this
I have
afterwards.
to leave
But
soon.
Jabba the Hutt is the most gross, physical, and ideological character, like moral character.
Okay.
And so, would you expect any
Some
less?
girls like a
about-
bad boy.
Sebulba.
We're talking original trilogy here, but like, if you think about it, would you expect any less from Jabba the Hutt to forcibly make Princess Leia wear this?
No, he's a sleaze bag.
It makes sense, but they didn't need to do it.
Yeah, honestly, there's already so much to detest Jabba the Hutt about. I really don't see why they had to add that in.
Like, yes, it contributes to the idea of him being a scumbag, but they didn't need to disrespect Leia like that.
But I feel
As the movie creators.
I agree that they didn't have to disrespect her that much, but I feel like any disrespect they did create for her, they took away when she killed him.
It definitely made her angry, but I also think being on a chain would make you angry. So,
So, I mean, I get it. I get that over-sexualization of
Could have
women,
had, like,
all that fun stuff.
Chewie on a chain.
Like,
And the same thing.
oh,
made sense.
but yeah.
no.
But at the same time, like,
I-
what's the point of that, like,
Like
in
treating
a
like an
public
animal.
setting? You know what I mean? I guess I could get that if, like, they were alone or whatever. Like, it's still appalling and disgusting, but in a public setting where that scene takes place, like,
I mean,
that's weird to me.
but like, look at the dancers that Jabba has.
I know, and they that that scene in the cafe where that frog lady is singing.
Oh.
Yes.
They went back and added that in, and I
Yeah.
would very much like to have a word with whomever decided that was a good idea. That was so awful.
But yeah, so like, I mean, Jabba obviously is a sleazebag, and he's a slug, and he's just an awful person, or not, he's not even a person, but like,
Doesn't deserve it.
he doesn't deserve to be a person, yes.
Yes.
But like, I mean, it's justifiable. It's not right, but it's justifiable. So I feel like you shouldn't detract the whole, like, shouldn't take the movie down a couple notches because of that. Because although it's not right, it's wrong that they did that, it makes sense and is justifiable.
I don't know.
And to move on to you saying the whole plan with getting Han Solo out with Leia, why do you feel that is ridiculous?
I think it was convoluted.
Why do
overly
you think it was convoluted?
Can we go over what the plan was exactly?
So the plan was for Leia to come in. Was this before or after Luke shows up? Just
Leia was there from the beginning.
Leia
Yeah.
was there for yes,
I thought
right.
it was before.
Right. So they send in the droids to get R2 in place so that he can shoot the lightsaber to Luke if it got to that point. Right? Then they bring in Leia with the thermal detonator and Chewie. So the plan is to get Chewie as her in the door, to get Jabba's favor, and then come in, sneak around, and release Han. And then get them out. When that fails, which I'm almost half expecting that they expected it to fail. Then you get the whole Luke thing, and you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think that's convoluted?
To have 3PO go in there, mediate all this, then have Leia go in. You have Lando disguised as a guard. The whole thermal detonator thing. Then you try to steal him. Then she's captured. Okay, now Luke comes in. Luke doesn't have his lightsaber.
Right, because they're expecting them to fail. So
Why? There's so many
Factors. It could have
so many
been
things that
done
can go wrong. So many
much more easily.
she takes out the thermal detonator and she gets shot. That could have happened.
Okay.
Or they could have failed and they could have just shot Leia. That could have happened.
Okay, but
It's kind of it's a wishy-washy plan.
But are you denying that it was effective in the end? Because it obviously worked. So no matter how convoluted and stuff it was, it worked. So now you're getting into the nitpicky details about this film.
Again, this is a quarter, maybe more than a quarter of the film is this plan.
Yeah.
So I think at that point it goes beyond nitpicking because it's so pivotal rather than in between scenes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it goes beyond nitpicking because of that.
So is there any other problems you have with
Then
Return of the
it
Jedi?
becomes-
Those are the big ones. Honestly, it's a great film.
Mhm.
Like, the conclusion was amazing. You know, that final fight between Luke and Vader is, one of the most amazing moments in the series, really.
Yeah.
And then, the ending, the celebration, ghosts. Vader's redemption. That's beautiful. And then the ghosts at the end. Oh, it's so good. So great. The green lightsaber.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a very nice.
Yeah. Which is why I have it as my third spot, and it's not, far behind the others.
So Sarah, what spot did you have that on?
I had it at. I don't know. Where am I? Oh, I had it at 5.
Okay.
So, not because I didn't like it, but because I just had others that I preferred more. But
Right.
Okay.
So you felt that, but Sean, you did feel that it was the lowest ranked one of the.
Of the original trilogy, yeah, because of those points made it lower than the other 3, but still an amazing film.
Okay.
Okay.
I can get behind that.
With that being said, Sarah, you need to leave, don't you?
yeah,
So,
I have theater in 10 minutes, so maybe this is a good time to wrap up.
I think so.
All right, will we be continuing this topic
Oh, we will.
next week?
Oh, yeah.
God.
We just touched the surface of 3 films.
Should we have outro music? I can pull up Nub Nub or something. I'm in a Nub Nub mood right now that we're talking.
I don't even know what the heck that
Neither
means.
do I.
Sean, I don't know if I want to listen to your nub music. I don't know what that is.
I want to hear Sean's nub nubs.
Oh man. Well, I would call this
it's
first.
Yub Nub, not Nub Nub.
Yo, that could have gotten you something else. I'm surprised you got that on the school Chromebook. They're gonna flag it and call you down. We could get attention.
So I think this was a successful first podcast talk.
Yeah, it's over an hour, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're at an hour and 30 minutes.
I love Yub Nub.
Okay.
Is this where it just starts to fade out and
Okay, we should make it quieter so you can hear us.
All right, so I guess join us next week for where they continue to assault. Well, I guess we'll continue to assault each other, but I feel like I'm going to be on the table next time.
We're gonna
for
continue
my
to attack
adoration
each
of
other.
Phantom Menace.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
We're gonna attack each other. We're gonna make no conclusions, and we're just gonna agree to hate each other.
And then I'm hoping that the week after that we will finally have something different to talk about, because I love Star Wars. I really do. But like I said earlier, I thought they were all pretty good films. I can't do it. Like, this is so specific. So
Okay.
It's okay. We enjoy
It was a
your
lot.
input.
It was
Yes,
a lot.
Sarah. It was a lot.
We need to get some.
Okay.
See you guys. See you next week. No.